Hi, it's Nathan from I Need IVF. I'm here to talk to you today about a treatment called ICSI and why you might need it as part of your IVF cycle. So, when Rachel and I were going through our infertility journey, I had been, between our first fertility test and actually getting into IVF, I was diagnosed with chronic prostatitis. What we found is that had a major impact on my sperm in terms of the count. It was reduced substantially. And at the first sort of IVF appointment after my next semen analysis, we were told that my sperm was borderline and that a decision would be made on the day about whether we would need ICSI. And that sort of led me to do quite a substantial amount of research because it wasn't something that I was hugely familiar with. So I found that ICSI, or intracytoplasmic sperm injection, it's a process that essentially injects the sperm directly into the egg to assist in fertilization, where normal IVF fertilization methods aren't expected to have a high impact or a high success rate. This is commonly used if your sperm has issues including count, morphology, mortality, and motility. If you need surgical sperm extraction, if you're using frozen sperm, or if you're having PGS or PGD testing on the embryo. So, as I said, it is a treatment that injects the sperm into the egg. So, in regular IVF treatment protocols, the sperm and mature egg are placed in a dish and natural fertilization occurs, and it normally has about an 80% success rate if there aren't specific male factor infertility problems. So a full ICSI process that happens is that a semen sample is produced on the same day as the egg retrieval. This is checked. If there's no sperm actually present in that sample, then you're likely to have surgical sperm extraction. Some clinics then wash the sperm, some don't. But the next step is done fully under microscope, and we'll just have a quick watch of this little video here together which shows it. So you can see the needle, and it's actually just cut the tail off the sperm. The sperm is then sucked up into the micro needle there, as you can see, and then it's actually injected directly into the embryo, which you can see happening here. So the embryo is being held on by a small micropipette, and this micro needle here is injecting the sperm through that outer layer there, which you can see is called the zona. That's the membrane that prevents antibodies and things getting in, but allows the sperm through the acrosome reaction to actually penetrate that zona and get into the center of the embryo. So as you can see now, it's just piercing the zona there, and it's injected directly into the embryo, which is quite cool. I think you'll agree. So as that's done, the egg's then placed in a cell culture medium and checked the next day to see if it's actually been fertilized. As I mentioned, ICSI is normally done for specific sperm problems. So some clinics may suggest using ICSI for reasons where there is no clinical evidence that it has a positive impact on the chance of a successful pregnancy. These aren't best practices, and some private clinics will do this in order to boost their profit levels, so just be wary of this. Some of these specific areas where is the age of the mother, and there's no evidence that shows ICSI improves normal fertilization methods in IVF for those of a mature age. Unexplained fertility. If the sperm of the partner has no specific major problems, then again, it won't increase overall fertilization rates. Minimal stimulation. So if your partner produces a low number of eggs, like Rachel and I did, Rachel only produced 5, then because you've got an 80% chance of natural fertilization and ICSI has a similar percentage chance, it won't help. And some clinics try and sell packages with no test that automatically include ICSI. And it shows that only 3% of people would have benefited, so 97% out of a random 100 would have actually be paying. The success rates of ICSI treatment. So IVF as a whole has the sort of following treatment rate. So under 35, it's around 29%. Between 35 and 37, it's around 24. 38 to 39, it's 17. 40 to 42, it's around 11. 43 to 44, it's about 4%. And over 44, it's around 3%. When they use ICSI, where it's medically evidenced that it will improve your chance of fertilization, it brings pregnancy rates in line with those of standard IVF chances, but doesn't actually increase it, which validates the reason that having the procedure for only medically defined causes helps. ICSI does come with additional risks. So you get all the normal risks that come with IVF, so they're still there, but ICSI does add some specific ones. It's an invasive procedure into the embryo, and that means that it can actually damage the embryo itself, and unfortunately the embryo can become non-viable. There is a small increase, which is actually less than 1%, that at birth some of the children have anomalies and defects. And this is mainly due to the fact that the sperm probably wouldn't have been able to penetrate the egg naturally due to the defect. This increases a risk of chromosomal anomalies, such as Down syndrome, Edwards, etc. There's also a small chance that the male infertility problems are inherited by a male child. And finally, ICSI does increase the chance of multiples within pregnancy, which does carry additional risks to the mother. This is because the embryo is more likely to split, so you're more likely to get identical. ICSI, because it is based in medical evidence, means that you can actually get it as part of NHS-funded IVF treatments. So if you need ICSI and it's determined by your specific condition, then you will be able to get that as part of your NHS. Whether you should get it on private is up to you. So ICSI is a really, really skilled job, and it does mean that it's quite an expensive procedure. It's normally around £900 to £1,000 to actually get ICSI. And what I would say is that if the condition that you have says you need ICSI, absolutely get ICSI. However, if there's no medically evidenced reason for you to get ICSI, then I wouldn't get it. If you found this video at all helpful, then please smash that like button and subscribe for future videos.